loads.
No, it's art, isn't it?
For all the artists out there, I guess. Right, so yeah, we are here at nerdly.co.uk, Nerdly Out Loud, Nerdly TV, Nerdly. We are still at Romford Film Festival, still down here. Last day though, thank God. Still loads to do though. We've got the awards tonight, that's going to be awesome. But yeah, Romford, it's still awesome to be inside you, which has kind of become my catchphrase this week. I don't know why, I just said it once and then it's sat. But we are sat here right now with Jordan-Kane Lewis, who's actually from up my end, and we've just showed his feature, A Touch of Vengeance. Jordan, how awesome was that to see that up on the big screen? I know you've seen it before, but it must still be a bit of a kick.
Oh yeah, it was great. Yeah, it's a lot slower than I remember because it's been a long time than from when I originally watched it last, which was probably like maybe 3 or 4 months ago now. Because it was like I did a redub for the film, which you've heard on there. So all the vocals been boosted and stuff because of the power of AI now. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We'll talk about that off camera.
Right,
you don't want to know about any of that. First of all, before we get into this, though, you're a young lad. Well, you're 24 now. 20,
Yeah, 24.
Made this film when you were 21.
Yeah, 21
for a student project, kind of end of year. End of term kind of thing. Before we talk about all of that, let's go right back. What made you want to be a filmmaker?
What made me want to be a filmmaker? I don't know. I guess I've always been obsessed with film. So when I was younger, I could edit. Obviously, YouTube is like when I was younger, that was like the infancy of it. So it's kind of one of the things I used to mess around with. So I could edit before I wanted to be a filmmaker, which is like maybe an odd thing. Yeah, I kind of always had like a love for film, but just never saw it as like, oh, I could actually do this myself. Mm-hmm. And then got to college, realized that I can make films. Didn't really have the best time at college. Went to a small university. In some ways, I don't regret it, but in other ways, I do. Like, I wish I had a bigger pool to network and stuff because obviously filmmaking is a collaborative process. When half the people in your class are wanting to do commercial and there's only 7 in the class, it becomes hard to do the collaborative process. So yeah, but I was doing like short films when I was a lot younger, but I just never saw it as like I do like a feature or a career. And then when I got to university, obviously you got exposed to different kind of cinema. But even though Channel 4 was doing that anyway, so I was watching a lot of like South Korean cinema because sorry, not Channel 4, Film 4. They always show them on really late nights and stuff. So yeah.
Back when you used to get the good stuff on Channel 4.
No,
they don't really show much now, do they? Which is a bit of a shame. But
they used to have that film one for new filmmakers. But I'm not seeing that. They probably still do it, but
not for a while. I don't think they have. No. It's but like, what was the influence and what was the like what kind of things were you seeing that you were like, this is what I want to make, this is what I want to do, this is the style I want to use, and these are the directors I want to be like?
I'd say it's a combination of loads of things. In the film, we have like overt and subvert like narratives throughout, so it's hopefully like many layers, so people don't get bored. And if you watch it again, there's loads of things that you can pick at. But yeah, I'd say South Korean cinema, which I mentioned, in the Q&A. But yeah, I'd say primarily South Korean cinema, cinematography from Christopher Doyle, who's Wong Kar-wai's director. But then there's little homages to like Dead Man's Shoes, the gas masks and stuff, which like there's little homages to different films throughout the whole film. So like for instance, when Frank's getting tortured in the film, they use the way they torture is a method that they use in Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. So there's little nods to all these different films, like Leon the Professional, when Lucas is cleaning the flowers and stuff, plants. It's kind of little homages to the film, but hopefully it stands by itself.
I think as well the sort of the overall story is kind of a shoot to Leon as well, isn't it? It's like, not to get too deep into it because we want people to watch it, no spoilers, but kind of the way the relationship between them goes, it's kind of like Leon.
Yeah. I'd say other than it's not about romance.
Yeah, no.
It's more like even though that's what Lucas Besson says.
It's more like a mentor-mentee kind of thing. I'm going to teach you, but please don't do it.
Yeah.
It's more like that. So where did this story? Where did it start in your head? How long have you been with it? And why did you want to tell this particular story that you had?
So I did a short called Liquid Violence in 2018. It was my first kind of like proper short. and it was no budget, but it started to have like a bit more production value. Like they were wearing costumes at this point, and so it definitely improved from my previous shorts. These are obviously university shorts, college shorts, but that really resonated with a lot more people. Everyone said they really liked that. And then I did like an arty film after called Depicted Illusion. And the issue was it was just too like wrapped up in itself, and it was just too like it's just an ego film.
Yeah.
It seemed, and it was like this is not what I guess cinema. It can be about that, but I feel like it should be subverted narrative if you're trying to embed that into story. So then it's for the filmmaker, they can go, yeah, it's got this stuff, and it like it scratches that itch that you want to tell, but it's just not like in your face, and then like people don't want to watch that kind of stuff. Not the general audience anyway. There is definitely an audience for it, but I feel like it's two kinds of films for filmmakers, and then there's films for like general audience and stuff. And if you can get some kind of happy middle ground, which I feel like A Touch of Vengeance does kind of hit, like you can enjoy it separately from the artistic side, but then it's got all the visuals and stuff, which is more for like the filmmakers.
And yeah, Touch of Vengeance is technically brilliant. There's like loads of little different nuances in there that you shot, you edited, you directed, you produced. That cast list is basically your cast, and then you. Talking to your dad this morning over my sausage and egg, and he was telling me that yes, you went for the film school route and you've done a little bit of that and everything, but you're basically self-taught.
Yeah,
which is amazing at your age. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's good that you can do that these days. How much of YouTube would you say you've completed?
YouTube, a lot. I'd say I've gone through the Darius phase, the film, cinema, not cinema, was it film riot, stuff like that. Yeah, kind of done all that, and it's I'd say in film school though you learn something that you don't really learn on YouTube, which would be like the whole narrative side of things. And I guess the networking. The biggest one is networking. I feel like more and more people are obviously getting, it could be coerced or whatever, into film, right? Into like university and stuff. So if you're not someone who's like super conscious about it, like I wasn't, I went to obviously a small university, and like I was saying, I wish I went to like a bigger uni. But yeah, I feel like the networking side is definitely from there. But yeah, YouTube has definitely been the biggest thing. Even for technology now, like there's a few YouTubers I'll watch, and they just literally just review technology. So like originally I would obviously watch YouTube for like entertainment, but now I'd say it's nothing to do with like that. It's actually just to do strictly with filmmaking. Yeah.
I really ask because I do the same thing, like with the podcasting and audio dramas and things like that. Things I'm starting to get into is like when he was telling me this morning, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, I do that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it was just so that like you could maybe push that out to people and let them know that like that's the sort of thing you could do. So I just wanted to quickly mention it. But
yeah, you can completely be self-taught on YouTube. You don't have to go to film school.
But let's say, don't say that. Oh Christ, that'll be you done.
Yeah, but it's
what? No film school?
You don't have to go to film school. It's just the networking, and then you've got access to a lot more stuff. So yeah,
I'm with you there. I want to talk about your casting because I've seen this film a few times now, and each time that I watch your movie, I tend to choose a different character because you've got basically your three main characters. There are other characters, but every now and then, like every time I watch it, I choose a different one. Like, who am I going to keep an eye on? And today I was watching your lead female, Leona Clark, who's just unreal, really good. How did you go about casting your movie?
So we used a few websites for this one, Mandy.com. Not Leona though. Leona we got actually through Martin. So Martin had worked on the previous project called Inspector Calls, and he highly recommended her because we were struggling at the time for a female lead. We did have a few local, but there's just not quite, didn't quite fit the role. So yeah, we met up with her in Oxford or London. I forgot like exactly where, and yeah, we just had like maybe a 2-hour conversation. She'd read the script previously, wanted to go over notes and stuff, and in the reading we were just like, yeah, she's perfect. But yeah, normally we're casting, use Mandy.com. I'll approach universities depending on the age range and stuff, because there's some hidden people, but also just people I know generally. So I'll use quite a lot of non-actors. If obviously if they're good with acting and stuff, and with a lot of the cast with A Touch of Vengeance, we approached theatre groups,
right? So
local theatre groups, and then we got the actors in from there. So the roles like Frank, who plays Lucas's boss in the film,
right?
The other boss, like the other under, the whole gangsters and stuff. They were all the older actors were theatre actors. So yeah.
And what was your process in directing Martin? Because he is absolutely just phenomenal and just an ultimate shitheel. And I love the character. And I do kind of like. I kind of feel like he's almost the good guy of the film, to be honest. That's a testament to his role and the way he plays it. But did you know Martin beforehand, or?
Knew Martin. No, I didn't know him beforehand, but we met and he was the one who we had the most extensive, other than the boss, who's Martin's dad in the film. We did loads of rehearsals, so we met up 3 times previously, but these were for a few hours and at a time. And he was fairly local at the time. He's moved now just outside of London. I think it's Salisbury or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, we did, because he comes across so good. It's because he did so much rehearsal.
And in terms of like directing him, was there ever a moment, because a character like that can go completely the other way and almost become a caricature or slapstick in a way, like just too much? So was there ever a time when you were like, you know what, dial it back, or was there ever a time where you're not going far enough?
We just did so much rehearsal, so it was like as soon as we got to set, well, what we'd do is like an hour before we shoot, we'd go through the whole scene, make sure everyone's comfortable and stuff, and then that's where I'd be directing. But I guess he knew where he could just be like off the wall. So for instance, the final sequence when he's having that massive monologue, he just started adding a lot more swear words and like vulgar stuff as he could think of. And I was like, yeah, that's the only scene where you can just go like, balls to the wall kind of thing. But yeah, everything else was kind of like already set in stone before we arrived. But that last sequence was the main thing, because that was the first scene I had in my head. Like, oh, this guy's getting tortured, he's attacked her, and this is the story. That's how the story formed. So yeah, that was the only scene I was like really picky with, I guess I'd say. Yeah. Not
just tell them, what, state the script.
Yeah. But I'm not too. See, I'm not too bothered about staying to the script. I said to Martin when we first met, it's not scripture, so don't think that you have to stick to it. So everyone was improvising lines throughout the whole process. So like, especially with Paul was the main one who improvised his lines throughout. So we'd add his little Yorkshire, Sheffield to kind of twang to the character, because I always imagined the character being a bit more, shallow, kind of mysterious, the grey man kind of thing. But yeah, Paul definitely added something which was definitely needed for the character. I feel like if you like Paul, normally you have like Martin, Paul, Leona, but it seems to be Martin or Paul seems to be the standout characters from what I've heard from feedback, and they either like Paul or Martin, and it's not like in between.
They're all excellent. That's why I would absolutely recommend people watching the movie. Watch it a couple of times. Because there's going to be things you're going to miss with certain roles, certain characters. And each time I've watched it, like I say, I started first time round, watch Paul. This seems to be the main character. This is who I'm going to spend most of my time with. Next time, keep an eye on Martin, because actually last time I really liked what he was doing. And this time today, I was keeping an eye on Leona. And yeah, like all 3 of them are just doing little weird things throughout the movie that you just wouldn't pick up on the first watch.
Yeah, there's definitely things like that. So for instance, mannerisms. This is going to sound really random, but if you've watched him multiple times, you'll see it. So Lucas twiddles his cigarette lighter in a certain way. Then Leona does that when she's meeting Reeds. There's other things like the fish tank. I know it sounds like a stupid line, fish tank with no fish. The whole idea was always he's a small fish in a big pond.
Yeah.
But then when in the torture room, when you're first in the torture room, when she's captured Leo, the son of Marcus, there's a fish tank with no fish in it, and it's this whole thing that things keep repeating themselves, because it's already been said so many times that revenge perpetuates itself, but I wanted the narrative to perpetuate itself. So conversations, for instance, when Lucas and Maria first meet, when they're talking about oh, you're going to kill me, that's the same first conversation that she has with Leo. So it's just there's loads of little things like that throughout the film. And then the idea of her costume, but then becomes, she goes through 3 costumes, and that ends up with Lucas, and that's hopefully I'm trying to get the idea that this is going to be the same as Leo. But
she's gone down a dark path.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's where we wanted her to go. So sort of. So first proper big feature, first time going at it. Any filmmaker, any creative that I speak to can always tell me exactly what's wrong with the movie. They can always tell me that there's a boom that's been left in, there's a line that went too long, there's a song that doesn't quite sync up, or anything like that. They can always tell me that. But what I like to ask is, what I like to know is, for yourself, sitting in the cinema today and watching it, what are you most proud of when you were watching that and you see a scene and you're like, you know what, that day was tough, but we nailed that. What's your proudest thing about this movie?
I'd say I really do like Lucas's death scene. We were so lucky it was actually raining on the day, which I feel like it definitely adds to the story, because it's the only day that rained, and it was like probably the perfect scene. But definitely the final sequence, again, like I said, that was the first one I had in my head, and it basically, if there's flaws in the film, I feel like by the time you get to that scene, you just forget about him because his performance is so good. And I was just really scared to cut away from him, because I was like, you don't want to cut away from him because he's given such a great performance. Not to say any other scenes were like, super bad, but that I don't know. I felt like that's the standout scene, especially when he's getting cut up as well and stuff. You see like the step printing when he's like shaking. I don't know. That's the way I'm the most proud scene, I'd say, in A Touch of Vengeance. And
it's a great scene. It's a fantastic scene. The way you framed it and everything's like, there's a little bit of freneticism to it as well, that just sort of, you're not really expecting in that kind of moment, and then his performance turns the chaos up a little bit, and it's a sexy scene. So I'm glad you said that. I'm glad. Sexy scene. Should I really say that?
No, there definitely is. Yeah, I feel like the cinematography is like, that's probably the most proudest I was. I was like, especially, it was all by accident. That shaking, he was shaking in such a way that the step printing for some reason was causing it to look like he was like vibrating, and I don't know. And it's like, obviously it
almost goes 3D kind of thing. Yeah,
it's just mad. Yeah,
absolutely.
I really like it, yeah.
Absolutely, and that's something that you take away from the movie when you see it, and you're proud of when you see it. But what do you want viewers to take away from your movie when they leave and they're talking to their friends later, or they're talking about the movie later, thinking about it? What do you want them to take away from it?
Hopefully, it was just like enjoyable. It was an enjoyable ride. Hopefully, you didn't notice the budget. Obviously, there's going to be little flaws because the budget's only $2,000. So. But hopefully,
which
it was
is
enjoyable.
mental, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, for a feature, that's mental, and especially at your age as well. Like, to have come out with this feature, you should be proud of yourself.
I appreciate it, but yeah, definitely, yeah, I'd say, yeah, I forgot what I was saying now.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're praising me. What was on about? Was it to do with
just with the budget and what people are enjoying and.
Yeah, I just want people to enjoy it, and hopefully it was a good experience, and you get what your money's worth. And it is an exploitative flick, but it's intentionally meant to be like that. But it's meant to be a bit more serious than what other films in this genre, and then also it's meant to be, hopefully stands out in the gangster genre as a whole as a different film. So, yeah, hopefully it's a new experience, I guess, for British cinema, right? So,
definitely, because in a world of Rise of the Foot Soldier, which don't get me wrong, I love Rise of the Foot Soldier. Anybody watching, don't cancel me. But in a world of those kind of movies, your movies is like your film comes through Touch of Vengeance is just like, it's a totally different aspect. Like, you don't get to see, like, they're normally just linear, structured. This is the bad guy, this is the good guy. But in your film, as I said before, I'm kind of sitting there rooting for the bad guy. I'm rooting for Martin. Like, I love that character, and I'm like, I don't want him to die. I want him to win. So I get what you're saying. Like, it's a fresh look at what we're doing and what the UK is doing. So I really vibe on that.
Yeah,
big time. And Luc Besson's been talking about making Leon 2 for years, or Matilda.
Yeah.
Any chance that you might dip your toe back in this world?
Yeah, there's definitely. So the short itself, Liquid Violence, is a unique take on the gangster genre anyway, and there's things that I didn't use in A Touch of Vengeance because I thought it was too arty. But now I feel like I'm at a stage where I could probably balance that really well. I wouldn't want to do it yet, but I definitely do want to do a Liquid Violence kind of feature film, potentially. I could definitely do it as a low-budget thing, so if I couldn't get funding, for instance, or could only get like a little bit of funding, that's something I could definitely do, and I feel like I could do it effectively. And it's set in a similar world, but it wouldn't be like, obviously, not like connected or anything. I like it to be separate. But yeah.
Not giving too much away
there.
Yeah. But yeah.
I say it's more similar to, if you ever seen Only God Forgives, Nicholas Winding Refn. I feel like it's a great film, and it kind of uses. I want to use. Maybe similar to Giorgento's Italian horror films, lighting. I wouldn't mind messing around with that, but also have it in the style of A Touch of Vengeance, where it's like very, the camera's very still, and then in action scenes you do a lot of movement. I've got an idea of this final sequence being on the snorri cam, so body rig. So yeah.
And who do you like in terms of your action sequences? Who do you look to, like, for fighting sequences, action sequences? Who do you look for?
Hong Kong cinema, like Hong Kong action films. I don't know. There's my favorite action film is actually a sci-fi. This is gone completely off a tangent, but
that's fine.
Edge of Tomorrow. I really like Edge of Tomorrow as a sci-fi action film.
Yeah.
I feel like I really like the book, and well, I don't read really,
The book's
but
better.
yeah, the book's awesome. And they got like this manga, which was by the same illustrator as who did Death Note, so it's like
Right.
it's amazing. Like it's just so like I don't know gripping. So when I went in, I was like not expecting it to be as good, and I was like, oh, it's definitely a really good sci-fi action film. But yeah, no, Hong Kong cinema. That I know I was just gone off on a tangent there,
No,
but
no,
yeah,
that's what
yeah.
this is all about. That's what this is all about. Because to be honest, that's how we kind of end these things. Is just asking about like your favorite sort of movies. But we'll get there in a second. What's next? What's happening with Touch of Vengeance next? What's happening with you next? When can we see you again? What's going on?
So I'm working on Touch of Vengeance now on Amazon, so you can buy it
On
on Amazon.
Amazon?
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a pound, so it's not too expensive. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like hopefully I get into maybe a few more festivals. I'm obviously looking towards more B festivals because that's the genre. I'm trying to the audience there going to
Yeah.
appreciate it more. And yeah, it's an exploitative flick, obviously. And yeah, but I've been working on another feature called Nothing Goes. They've got a poster available now on IMDb and stuff that you can see. So yeah, there's a lot of behind the scenes footage of that. But yeah, it's a film that's similar to I guess Skins and Bonnie and Clyde, kind of a mix. But visually speaking, it's like early 2000s.
It's just a mad mix.
But it uses step printing again, but in a different way that it uses in a Touch of Vengeance. It's more like hyperactive. Like the narrative itself is hyperactive, so the slow moments and then all of a sudden it's super rapid.
Right.
Whereas in a Touch of Vengeance, the scenes in which step printing was used was if the character was drunk, like an emotional scene and an action scene. Where this is used for the environment to move from scene to scene and stuff. So in a different kind of context, whereas you actually see the action take place. So just excited to get that project out. But yeah, Nothing Goes.
Nothing Goes.
Yeah.
We'll definitely be keeping an eye out for that. And Nerdly, myself, and Romford and all that, we'll all be keeping an eye out to see what happens with that. And anything past that, because I really want to hear about this vampire movie, man.
Oh yeah, the vampire film.
Give me all the goods on this.
Vampire film is a Cthulhu type small town film, similar to Let the Right Ones In, mixed with I've said it before. I forgot the name of it, but it's the film.
I think you told me this morning that I'm even blanking on it, but
yeah, it's I forgot what it is. It's the it's the Cthulhu film featuring the actor from Possession and Event Horizon. But yeah,
we'll figure it out.
Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of like a mix of that. I don't want to say too much, but it's about a schoolgirl, and it's the day of her. She's come back from a school trip, and then something's gone wrong. And it's leading up to the day of her exam, but that's all I can kind of give. But it's more of a family drama. But yeah, I don't want to give too much away.
Don't give too much away. You don't want to give away all the sauce because we want to.
But that's what I can say, which is already out there because it's in the little synopsis that's available. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing everything you do going forward because genuinely. As I said before, you should be very, very proud of this movie. We love this movie, and I think me and Peter on the selections panel, we kind of went into it a little bit like, what's coming? And it really, really surprised us, which I guess is what you're going for. And it's a fantastic little film, and I can't wait to see who you work with next because you've got a knack for casting. I can't wait to see what you do technically next because this film's pretty flawless in ways. Obviously, it has its little issues, as every movie does, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally get. Yeah, I like this. Nothing Goes. The flaws that were in Touch of Vengeance, which, if you can name the flaws, it's like
I can't name them. I'm just saying that no movie's perfect.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Like if when you watch it, you'll notice like maybe the sound slightly, a little bit,
Well, you can, but I'm just a cinema goer that sits and goes. Oh.
But yeah. So it's like. Yeah, hopefully this has been completely. It's like it's got double the budget. It's got half the time, but I feel like it's more effective. And I had a slightly bigger crew. We had like at least someone helping with camera on each day. Semi-focus pulling. We had sound there every day, which we did for a Touch of Vengeance as well. But there's we just had a bigger project. But yeah, hopefully that comes through and you can see the difference between both films because visually speaking, they are two different, distinct visual films. Whereas like I do have a slight obsession with VHS and analog, which you probably noticed a little bit in the Touch of Vengeance that this is opening, and like it's meant to be like it starts off like as if it's like a found footage, like you found it on old VHS tape.
I was going to ask you about that. Your opening credits, kind of like what inspired that, like the flashing across the screen kind of thing when your name comes up. What did inspire that? Because it feels very Feels very Fight Clubby in a way.
Yeah, it was the idea was like, oh, if you stumble across the film, it's like, oh, it's this like lost film. Like,
Yeah.
the original tension would have been like, oh, like you watch it on a VHS and you watch it and it's like this old film and it's just, but it feels like it's an actual like big budget film. And I have like my own VHS copy of it. But yeah,
That's awesome, by the way.
Yeah, just got like an obsession with analog. So yeah, so I've brought that into like a set piece for the next film, and there's a lot more analog footage, which is authentic analog. So we use an actual VHS.
Nice.
And, it's not like a big part of the film. In the film, the main character in the film, he's a film student, so obviously I can relate to that, and he's filming all these particular scenes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
love that. I love that. And anyone under the age of like what 20, Google VHS.
Yeah,
because it's awesome. I love the fact that you've got your own VHS of it as well. That absolutely tickles us.
Yeah, no, I feel like there's going to be a resurgence of VHS, definitely.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah, you know, like vinyl and stuff. And now I feel like the next wave is definitely like in horror. You're about to see a bunch of like analog. They call it analog
Absolutely.
horror. And I've kind of dipped my toe in analog horror before. I did a little short called "Where We Lie." It's nothing amazing, but it was just like the filmmaking in that. It's definitely influenced Nothing Goes, because I just like the process of the camera can float around a bit instead of being completely still, which is what I traditionally normally do. Is have a very still camera. And then obviously the action, you do a lot of movement. Whereas this one, the camera's constantly moving. The camera itself is like, you know, a character within the film. So yeah.
I like that. See, things like that just get me. So yeah, you've already mentioned quite a few different influences, but what are your top 3 movies of all time?
Oh, you can't give me that. I'll tell you
You
some.
only get 3.
Okay, this will change, so I don't want to say this is set in stone.
All right, you can have 5.
Yeah, no, I'll give you 3. I'd say at the moment, at this time, number 1 would be On the Silver Globe, which is a film that's not actually technically a film. It's only 80% complete. Got pulled by the Soviet Union, the funding. The film was meant to be destroyed, and it got snuck out and then shown at Cannes. And they're about to release a new release, I believe, of a Blu-ray, and they're not had a release in ages. But yeah, strange film. There's something I definitely love to like explore. But yeah, great. It's a great film. It's Polish. It's a Polish film. Anyway, yeah.
Let's start wrapping this out.
Yeah.
But first of all, let people know where they can find yourself online, where they can find Touch of Vengeance, where they can find any projects going forward, just where they can see more about you.
Best way to follow my projects would either be on my social medias, which is all at Jordan-Kane Lewis, so JordanKaneLewis, and from there you should be able to get to the pages for Touch of Vengeance or for Nothing Goes. But I do I primarily use Instagram as a way to promote my films. But yeah, all contact information will be on there as well if you're trying to reach out, want to watch the film and stuff. Yeah, and follow at ATOV film for A Touch of Vengeance, because yeah, obviously this has been playing there. So yeah.
And thank you so much for submitting Touch of Vengeance to us, for letting us show it, and most of all being here, because you've been here a few days now. You've been checking out other projects as well, which is all cool. What have you seen that you like the most?
My favourite one was Wild Virgins.
Yeah,
it was great. Yeah,
you shut up.
It was great. It was proper out there, and I didn't expect it.
He's got a whole like filmography of just mad shit that you would love. Eh? Yeah, you love a bit of Kenichi, don't you? Trying to set up a call with Kenichi for Peter.
Oh, that'd be sick.
But,
yeah.
He'd be the only one that would be able to talk to him because nobody else has watched his films.
That's right. Hopefully, I'll be on that list of people who've watched the film scene. So,
but before I let you go, though, do me a favor and one bit of advice, because you are young and you filmed this when you were 21, which still blows my mind a little bit because it feels like I've wasted my life so far. What one piece of advice would you pass out to someone who was trying to come up in the industry?
If you start in, sometimes you can do things for like ego based, I guess, right. Because like when I was first starting, I thought like, oh yeah, I could do everything, and then you see how you improve, and then you realize that it's not like all about you. I was so wrapped up got taught a lesson about auteur theory. Right. And I was so obsessed with this idea that the filmmaker should use the camera like a pen, which like our writer uses typewriter, sorry. And I was so obsessed with that, I thought it meant something else than what it actually means. So yeah, I'd say it's all about networking and collaboration because the film industry itself is a social thing. So why would the filmmaking not be a social thing? So yeah, I'd say get networking as soon as possible. There's so many people obsessed with it, and I'm sure people will get on board with your projects and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to have one vision and just keep pushing for that. That's the only side of the auteur theory which is like stands true.
Awesome. Well, Jordan, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for doing this.
Appreciate everything, man. Cheers.
I don't normally get handshakes at the end. I'll take that.
I appreciate it.
But no, keep doing what you're doing. We can't wait to see more, and I'll absolutely be checking out the next flick. Absolutely, I can't wait to see it. See what you've done and get that vampire film made because I love vampires.
Definitely, yeah. I do as well. Right. Cheers for that.
It's a shame I can't, but.
Do you know what this is, right? One of the girls you were having fun with, still alive. You're lucky I don't get my friend to kill you here right now. Just make sure this doesn't happen again.